Wirtz turning down Real Madrid for Guardiola, Manchester City plotting a mega transfer, Amorim luring an Inter Milan star to Manchester United, Kökçü practically a Liverpool player already, set to reunite with Slot, and our Tottenham risking a fan backlash over a controversial management decision. That's just a taste of what we're diving into today. Are you ready? Let's get started. Manchester City, the one with the sheikhs and billions, has once again landed themselves in a historical mess. And this time, it doesn't just smell of a fine, but a full-blown war with the Premier League itself. So, what's the fuss all about? In a nutshell, City is accused of financial shenanigans, violating the so-called fair play rules. 115 charges, just imagine. Apparently, they've been cooking up some schemes with companies linked to the club's owners to bypass financial restrictions. Basically, it's a murky business with these related party transactions, as they're called. But City naturally denies everything. They claim everything was done by the book, and these rules are anti-competitive anyway, and who even came up with them in the first place? And here's where it gets interesting. An independent tribunal this summer actually ruled some aspects of these rules unlawful. City rejoiced, thinking victory was in the bag. Not so fast. The Premier League dug in its heels, stating that the APT system as a whole remains in place, and essentially they just made a minor error. And then all hell broke loose. Lawsuits, arbitrations, who owes whom what. City is demanding compensation. The Premier League is scrambling to close loopholes. The citizens are threatening new legal action, and other clubs, like Aston Villa, are using the chaos to assert their own rights. In short, it's a complete mess. Now the league wants to quickly amend these rules before they completely crumble. But City, along with Villa, are shouting, "Stop, we need a complete overhaul, not your patchwork fixes." And they're threatening legal action if the league insists on its own way. Honestly, the whole situation looks pretty ugly. On one hand, City might have actually broken the rules. Who knows what these sheikhs are capable of? On the other hand, the Premier League isn't exactly blameless, seemingly confused by their own rules and missing deadlines. And who suffers from all this? As always, the fans. City supporters have long felt that their club is being targeted. Upstarts, they say, got rich and think they can do whatever they want. And now the league is just pouring fuel on the fire. The atmosphere is definitely heating up. What happens next? It's hard to say. If the league pushes through their amendments and they're later ruled unlawful again, it'll be another round of scandal. And if the vote fails, we're in for months of uncertainty. Either way, this story will have repercussions for English football for a long time to come. Personally, I think they need to sit down at the negotiating table and calmly discuss everything, and not drag their feet, but come to a decision that satisfies everyone. Otherwise, we're not far from a split in the Premier League. In any case, we'll be keeping a close eye on how things develop. The new boss of the Red Devils, Ruben Amorim, is reportedly already eyeing reinforcements, and not just anyone, but Lautaro Martinez himself from Inter Milan. Basically, rumours are swirling, and it's clear that Amorim needs to bolster his squad. After all, his signature 3-4-3 formation, which he used so successfully at Sporting, demands specific types of players. And let's be honest, United's attacking situation is far from ideal. Look at Højlund and Zirkzee, they splashed the cash on them, but the return on investment has been, to put it mildly, negligible. Zirkzee, for instance, has only managed a measly 1 goal and 1 assist in 11 appearances this season. Is that really the standard for Manchester United? And that's where Martinez comes in. Spanish media are already buzzing about a potential swap deal. Zirkzee heads to Milan and Lautaro to Manchester. Moreover, it's rumoured that United are prepared to fork out €60 million and loan Zirkzee out as part of the deal. Inter, apparently, are quite keen on this arrangement. Decent money and a ready-made replacement for Martinez. Everyone's happy as a clam, so to speak. But what about Martinez himself? The 26-year-old Argentine is a true predator in the penalty area, with an exceptional goal-scoring instinct and tireless energy. He's exactly the kind of player United need to finally address their finishing woes. Just imagine the partnership he could forge with Højlund, if the Dane manages to unlock his potential, that is. For Amorim, a forward like this is a godsend. High pressing, rapid attacks. Martinez would fit perfectly into this system. He can score himself and create chances for his teammates. In short, United's attack would be revitalized with him in the lineup. As for Zirkzee, well, tough luck for the lad. He arrived for 40 million, but hasn't really made his mark on the pitch. Perhaps he'll fare better at Inter. In any case, it's not a bad deal for the Italians, a young, promising player and at a lower cost. Now the million-dollar question, will this deal actually happen? Spanish journalists insist that both clubs are already working hard on an agreement, and if it comes to fruition, it would arguably be one of the biggest transfers of next summer. So, what do you think? Is Martinez worth the hefty price tag for United? Can Zirkzee cut it at Inter? Share your thoughts in the comments, let's discuss. Personally, I believe Martinez is precisely the player Manchester United needs. He could become a true leader of the attack and help the team return to the top. Do you think United need Martinez? Is it worth letting Zirkzee go? Leave your comments below. Rumour has it that Orkun Kökçü from Benfica is on the verge of packing his bags and jetting off to the English Premier League. Caught Offside has been sounding the alarm about growing interest in the lad, and it seems Liverpool and Manchester United are already sharpening their teeth for him. The price tag? Somewhere between 60 and 70 million euros. Not bad, eh? And you know what's most interesting? Kökçü has already played under Liverpool's current manager, Arne Slot, at Feyenoord. By all accounts, they worked together brilliantly. Kökçü himself recently showered Slot with compliments, practically calling him the best coach in the world, so Liverpool seems to have the upper hand here. Of course, no official offers have been made yet, but as they say, where there's smoke, there's fire. But Manchester United isn't sleeping on this either. The Red Devils' new manager is also familiar with Kökçü, dating back to his time managing Sporting in Portugal. So, the battle for the talented Turkish player promises to be a heated one. Word on the street is that Tottenham is also lurking somewhere on the horizon. It'll be interesting to see who wins this race in the end. Sure, Kökçü has a 150 million euro release clause in his contract, but let's be realistic, it's unlikely anyone will pay that kind of money. The real price, according to those in the know, is closer to 60 to 70 million euros. And apparently, Kökçü himself wouldn't mind playing in the Premier League. Who would say no, right? English clubs, to put it mildly, aren't exactly strapped for cash and can easily afford such expenditures. In recent years, they've been outbidding European rivals so often that it hardly surprises anyone anymore. It would be fantastic for Slot to work with Kökçü again, of course. The lad is talented, creative, and could add a spark to Liverpool's midfield. Slot is doing a decent job with the team he inherited from Klopp, but he surely wants to leave his own mark. And who better to help him do that than a trusted soldier? At Feyenoord, Kökçü was a real star, and in the 2022/23 season, he even captained the team when Slot led them to the championship. Liverpool could definitely use a player like him. The Reds have plenty of midfielders, sure, but Kökçü could bring something they're missing: fresh ideas and unconventional solutions. Benfica will obviously fight tooth and nail to keep their player. He's one of the key figures in their squad, but it seems they'll have to part ways with him sooner or later. The 23-year-old Kökçü is one of the brightest young talents in the Portuguese league, and his move to a top club is only a matter of time. Perhaps it will happen this summer. And here's another interesting tidbit. It's said that Kökçü himself wouldn't mind joining Liverpool specifically. And the Reds, as we know, have a knack for spotting talent. They've often unearthed unknown players and turned them into world-class stars. Who knows? Maybe the same will happen with Kökçü. Under Slot's guidance, he's sure to adapt quickly. All in all, we're eagerly awaiting developments. So, where do you think Orkun Kökçü will end up? And will he be able to make his mark in the Premier League? Share your predictions in the comments. Tell me, has Tottenham really decided to, as they say, shoot themselves in the foot again? It seemed like the whole Rodrigo Bentancur racist remarks scandal aimed at Son Heung-min was finally starting to die down. The player apologized, received his 7-match ban, which, to put it mildly, is quite significant, and everyone seemed to be moving on. But no, Spurs decided to show some backbone, as it were, and filed an appeal, and that's where things get interesting. Let's rewind and remember what actually happened. Imagine Bentancur, sitting on a Uruguayan TV show, dropping a gem like, "Son and his cousins all look the same." Seriously? How could you say that? Dude, you play on the same team as Son. Of course, there were apologies afterward, both public and private. But as the saying goes, words are like arrows. Once released, they cannot be recalled. The FA, unsurprisingly, didn't appreciate the humor, if you can even call it that, and slapped the Uruguayan with a 7-match ban at home games. Harsh? Perhaps. But on the other hand, racism is serious business. Jokes are completely inappropriate. And this is where Tottenham should have learned their lesson. Ange Postecoglou, the head coach, initially seemed to say all the right things. Bentancur should accept his punishment. But then, the club goes ahead and files an appeal. The question is, why? For what purpose? To reduce the ban by one match? Seriously? Is that single match worth risking the club's reputation and alienating millions of fans? After all, Tottenham has fans all over the world, especially in South Korea, where Son is a national hero. Just imagine, 12 million people, a quarter of the country's population, support Spurs because of Son. And what are they supposed to think now? That the club prioritizes Bentancur's availability over principles of respect? Because that's exactly how it looks, let's be honest. And besides, there were reportedly plenty of racism incidents in football last season, particularly targeting people of East Asian descent. With this appeal, Tottenham is essentially going against the general trend of fighting discrimination. Not very smart, if you ask me. And it gets worse. Rumour has it that Bentancur, while apologising to everyone, told the FA Commission that his words were sarcastic and misunderstood. You know, the classic, "That's not what I meant, you took it the wrong way." Not very convincing, is it? The whole situation seems inconsistent. For example, Bissouma received only a one-match ban for his off-field antics, but Bentancur gets 7 for racism, and the club didn't seem particularly eager to punish him internally according to their own rules. Something smells fishy, as they say. And speaking of money, do you think Tottenham's sponsor, AIA, is thrilled about all this? Highly unlikely. 12 million Korean fans are no joke. It's a huge audience that brings the club significant revenue. Risking that relationship for the sake of one Bentancur match is, to put it mildly, short-sighted. Now, let's consider what happens next. Will the ban be reduced? Possibly. But at what cost? The club's reputation is already tarnished, fans are unhappy, and sponsors probably are too. And all for what? Doesn't Tottenham understand that in situations like these, you need to act swiftly, decisively, and without unnecessary appeals? Apparently not. We can only hope that the club learns its lesson and avoids repeating the same mistakes in the future. But for now, as they say, a bad taste remains. It seems like Manchester City has set their sights on Florian Wirtz, that young prodigy from Bayer Leverkusen. He's only 21, and they're already asking for £100 million for him. Can you believe it? And the most interesting part is, it looks like he's keenest on joining Guardiola, rather than Liverpool or, say, Real Madrid. It wasn't long ago that hardly anyone knew who Wirtz was, but now, boom, he's a complete midfielder, as the Bundesliga website described him. He practically carried Bayer Leverkusen to the title last season. He did whatever he wanted on the pitch, distributing passes, scoring goals, and understanding the tactics inside out. It was a joy to watch. The only problem is, Bayer Leverkusen is going through a rough patch, to put it mildly. Xabi Alonso is leaving, and it's unclear what's going to happen next. The team could fall apart, and Wirtz is first in line to leave. And that's where City comes in with their money, and Guardiola saying, "Come to us, Florian, we'll make you a world-class star." And they really will. Who wouldn't want to work with Pep? It's practically a guarantee of success, no matter how you look at it. It seems Wirtz has taken the bait. They say City is already preparing £100 million, telling Real Madrid and Bayern Munich to take a back seat. Chelsea and Liverpool are trailing behind, despite having held talks. But to what end? Bayern is still trying to keep Wirtz in the Bundesliga, saying, "Come on lad, stay with us, you'll be our main man." But seriously, do you think he'll turn down City? Ultimately, it looks like Wirtz himself will decide, and for now, City is leading the race. Just imagine this. Wirtz in City's midfield alongside De Bruyne, Rodri and Foden. That's a dream midfield. Not just any midfield. Opponents will be trembling with fear, honestly. Of course, Real Madrid and Liverpool will still put up a fight, but you know, I have a feeling Wirtz has already made up his mind. For City, who wants to dominate everywhere and always, this signing could be decisive. Can you imagine the impact they'll make in Europe? But let's be honest, this is all just talk for now. There's going to be a fierce battle for Wirtz. City has proven time and again that they can lure stars, but other clubs are no pushovers either. The next few months are going to be, oh, so heated. What do you think? Will City manage to get Wirtz, or will Real Madrid or Bayern Munich snatch him away? We're eagerly awaiting the outcome of this intrigue. According to Turkish media outlets, Beşiktaş is seriously targeting the experienced Arsenal midfielder Jorginho. Yes, that very Italian who once shone brightly at Chelsea and Napoli, winning trophies left and right. And now it seems the Black Eagles are ready to offer him a new challenge. A move to Istanbul as early as this winter. And what's more, completely free of charge. Of course, Jorginho is no spring chicken. He's already turned 32. But to put it mildly, this guy still has plenty of gas left in the tank. He's a versatile player who can operate as a holding midfielder or in the center of the park, exactly what the doctor ordered for Besiktas, who are currently looking to bolster their midfield. Negotiations, by all accounts, are in full swing. And if Turkish sources are to be believed, Besiktas has practically convinced Jorginho to make the move. What a twist! Imagine how much stronger the Eagles' midfield would become with such a maestro. They'd be a force to be reckoned with in the Turkish league, and they could even make some noise in European competitions. But here's the interesting part. Why would Arsenal let such a player go? Yes, Jorginho isn't a guaranteed starter for the Gunners, but his composure, experience, and ability to orchestrate the game from deep are worth their weight in gold. Is the Arsenal management so confident in their invincibility that they're willing to throw away such talent? What if injuries or a dip in form weaken their midfield? Won't they regret this decision? And to let Jorginho go for free when his market value is 12 million euros? Well, that's questionable, to be honest. On the other hand, Besiktas fans must be over the moon right now. If the deal goes through, they'll be getting a midfielder with a rare combination of experience and technique, someone who has graced the biggest football stages in Europe. But can the Eagles convince Jorginho to leave the Premier League, one of the most competitive leagues in the world? Even the guarantee of regular playing time isn't always the deciding factor for players of his caliber. All in all, it's an intriguing situation. We'll be keeping a close eye on developments. What do you think? Will this transfer happen? Share your thoughts in the comments. It seems the Red Devils are on the hunt again, and this time it's for a left back. Let's be honest, it's a problem position, to put it mildly. Luke Shaw, poor guy, is perpetually injured, and Malaysia, while seemingly back, has been out for 17 months. Who knows what kind of form he's in? Enter Ruben Amorim, the new United boss. Young, ambitious, full of ideas, a breath of fresh air after a dismal start to the season. And it looks like he's hit the ground running, determined to shake up the squad. Rumour has it, and Fabrizio Romano, that ever-present insider, is spreading it like wildfire, that Amorim wants a new left-back and has already drawn up a shortlist of at least 3 candidates. The name that immediately jumps out is Alphonso Davies from Bayern Munich. The lad's on fire. Fast, skillful, attacking, any manager's dream, especially someone like Amorim who favours a 3-4-3 formation. Davies would be in his element, tearing down the wing, outrunning everyone, and even scoring goals. He's got 12 in the last 2 Bundesliga seasons, which is astronomical for a defender, by the way. But here's where the problems start. The money, as always, is tight. After spending £200 million in the summer, United's coffers are empty. And Davies, despite his expiring contract, won't come cheap. Real Madrid, they say, are also eyeing him, and competing with them is a losing battle. So it looks like Amorim will have to get creative. Maybe he'll find someone cheaper in the winter. Or, as Romano suggests, he'll have to wait until summer. In the meantime, Shaw will likely be patching up holes in central defence, and Malaysia will be trying to remember how to play football. On the other hand, maybe it's for the best. Perhaps Amorim will pull off a tactical masterstroke and turn Ahmed or Anthony into the new Roberto Carlos. Sounds far-fetched, of course, but who knows? Maybe the new manager is a magician. Speaking of magic, United pulled off a brilliant deal in the summer, snatching young talent Leny Yoro from under the noses of Real Madrid and Liverpool. £52 million is a hefty sum, but they say the kid's worth it. However, this deal was done before the new Ineos team took full control of the club. Now that they're in charge, they'll have to tighten the purse strings. And that begs the question, did they rush into the Euro deal? Should they have saved the money for Davies, or for someone else Amorim really needs? It's a rhetorical question, of course, but still. In short, the situation at Manchester United is, as always, complicated. On the one hand, there's a new manager with ambition and plans. On the other, a limited budget and a host of problem positions. Can Amorim piece together the puzzle and return United to the top? Or are we in for another disappointment? Only time will tell. But one thing's for sure, it won't be boring. In the meantime, we'll be following the news and speculating who Amorim will choose as the new left-back. And, of course, hoping it won't be another flop, but a real transfer success. After all, United fans deserve a bit of joy, don't they?